Thank you, Larissa.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Transgender Day of Remembrance 2021. I am Sibel Simone Lareca, your Mistress of Ceremonies for the City of West Hollywood, Tidor 2021. Tonight, we will make a pause to remember our trans brothers and sisters who have been murdered due to unspeakable acts of violence and hatred. Tonight's event is an opportunity to honor their memories and celebrate their lives. I want to say thank you to the City of West Hollywood for its Transgender Advisory Board for trusting me to MC this event, which for me, as a trans woman of color, is very personal. When you think about the amount of women that have been killed this year, 374 women have been killed worldwide. 47 trans women have been killed within the United States. 30 of those trans women are African American. 60% of trans women that are African American are either shot or fatally dismembered. It's kind of sad that we have to celebrate something like this every year. But we always knew that this was a time that we would have to fight and learn to continue to fight. So, in memory of all of our community members, I'd like to continue to introducing tonight's event. Is being live streamed on YouTube Live and WeHoo TV and in person at the LGBT Center Rittenberg Theater. And we will be following the social media hashtag TDOR 2021. So now at this time, I'd like to introduce the City of West Hollywood's Mayor Lauren Meissner.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. On behalf of my City Council colleagues, we welcome you to this year's Transgender Day of Remembrance. Today, we remember the transgender people whose lives have been lost to violence this year by reading their names. According to Everytown for Gun Safety, so far in 2021, at least 47 transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people have been killed, 37 with a gun. It is the deadliest year on record for transgender people in the United States and Puerto Rico. Regrettably, we've seen bigotry, hate, and transphobia increase tenfold in this country and all over the world. But I am forever hopeful that people will find compassion, fairness, and humanity. And I am hopeful that we will make progress on transgender issues because no one should be discriminated against, mistreated, or threatened because of who they are. Trans lives matter. You matter. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate your love and your support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, I'd like to introduce someone. Few people are blessed with her voice, like Liz Love, and even fewer are as exciting to watch perform on live stage. This Chicago native defines genre, whether she sings blues, gospel, R&B, dance. Whatever she lands it will be dripping with soul. At the age of 16, Liz had the pleasure of singing background vocals and touring with the late great diva Sylvester. She went to the chart number one. She went on to chart number one dance single in the UK, and also has released solo CD that she co-produced and pretty much wrote or co-produced all the material. For Liz, inspiration is from her roots of singing gospel music from a kid at an Oakland Baptist church. So this is why everything that she delivers must have in Austin, Texas. By mere I'm sorry. So this is why everything she delivers must have a message. On November 29th, 2007, Liz was presented with the proclamation, her all day in Austin, Texas, her own day, by the Mayor William Wynn, one of the first Black transgender women to receive an honor as such in Austin, Texas. Along with some of her other achievements, she has the pleasure of working with Jennifer Lopez for her TV show Shade of Blue. In the 10th episode, Liz is singing a version of that classic People Get Ready. As she walked into the courtroom, there are just a few things that this singer-songwriter, activist, actress has accomplished, and more yet to come, including her memoirs, which will be out in 2022. As we all know, life can be hard at times. And to endure challenges, we will all need a little bit of poetry to lighten up our hearts and lift up our spirits. And to do that, I would like to welcome Liz Love. Hi, Liz.
Hi, Sabelle. How are you?
Just missing your soul and your love.
Thank you. I'm LZ Love, everybody, and you can find me on YouTube and Instagram. And thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it. And I guess we're going to be showing a performance that I had the pleasure of sharing with the unique women here in Los Angeles. The Unique Women Coalition is what I meant to say. And it's a song that I wrote and co-wrote with a producer by the name of Dave Camacho. It's called It's Your Love. And the song speaks about us knowing that it's our love that keeps us alive. It's our love that gives us the strength to survive through it all. Because we are special. We are precious just like everybody else. And we deserve to be heard. We deserve to be loved. We are a mother or father's child. So for anyone that have any doubt about us being human, just know that we are and deserve to be loved and respected. So I hope this song and this performance will touch everybody's heart in some kind of way.
Thank you, Liz, so much.
Thank you, Sabelle.
Your love that keeps us alive. It's your love gives us the strength to survive. It's your love that keeps us alive. It's your love that'll give you the strength to survive. It's your love when you can't find your way. Your love, it'll help you make it through the day. It's your love, yeah. When you cannot find a friend, it's your love that'll give you strength to survive. Ooh.
Thank you, Liz. You always put on a show, girl.
Thank you, love.
So, tell us a little bit about what you have coming up lately.
On the 23rd, I'm playing an event that's going to be raising money for people in West Hollywood who is not fortunate to have a hot turkey dinner. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And you can go on my website. LZ Love on Facebook. All that information is there. Also, LZ Arnold on Instagram. You can see all the postings and the invites, also the RSVP that you need to contact if you are interested in having a meal. Also, I'm writing my memoir right now. I feel it was the time for me to share my experience. Um, Even though you can't tell because of the amazing moisturizers that I use, but I've been an activist since the 70s, since 75, back marching when I was a teenager with Sylvester, I marched with Harvey Mount a couple times, Alan White, um, 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 Danny, Nicolata, all these were very powerful activists in San Francisco. It wasn't LGBTQIA, it was just called gay back then. And gay and lesbians, with and bisexuals or whatever, it was one word. So we marched to get it to that place. So I'm just so happy to still be here right now at this place where we have broadened our ways of expressing ourselves as people, which we have the right to do. And I feel there's more to come. I think there's more people going to be identifying themselves in other ways, how they want to be identified, because that's what we are. We're like a flower in the field, different flowers. We're individuals, and we all deserve to be able to be who we are and express ourselves. I'm working on a new single as well, and that should be coming out the beginning of the year. So, hey, other than that, I'm just grateful to be alive, y'all.
And we are so blessed to have you with us tonight. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You're welcome.
So, in response, we have Mallory Robinson. Mallory Robinson is an Afro-Cuban American transgender advocate and activist, and openly HIV positive since 2011. She also created a true crimes podcast. If you haven't seen it or heard it yet, check it out. It's really good. A hateful homicide covering the homicides of transgender and gender non-binary and gender diverse community members. Robinson is currently the vice chair of the West Hollywood Transgender Advisory Board, the Los Angeles County HIV Commission, which is a feat within itself. I'd like to now introduce Mallory Robinson. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mallory Jenna Robinson. As the Vice Chair for the City of West Hollywood's Transgender Advisory Board, I want to take a moment and acknowledge this year's Transgender Day of Remembrance. As an Afro-Caribbean trans woman, it is important now more than ever that we as a collective, as a community, come together and unite for those who are no longer here, and even say the names for those who are still here. We need resources, employment, housing, and much more. Our community members are losing their lives due to violence, and this is our time to make sure that we raise awareness. This Transgender Awareness Week, as well as Transgender Day of Remembrance. So I just want to encourage each and every one of you to take a moment of silence, remember those who are no longer here, love those who are, and always, always believe in yourself and be kind to yourself. This Transgender Day of Remembrance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, our next introduction will be, since 2015, the Transquire of Los Angeles, TLC, has made an impact in the chorus world by using unique voices and visible, bold, and proud. TLCLA is premier all trans-identified chorus in America. We are a choir or transgender and gender non-conforming, gender non-binary, and gender non-fluid, and intersex individuals. We celebrate diversity and acceptance in appearance and vocal presentation. so that others can see and feel the joy we share. Throughout our music, we bring to everyone's awareness and understanding power, victory, and the trans community. So now I would like to introduce the Transquire of Los Angeles. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Abdullah Rasheen Hall. You can call me Abby. My pronouns are they, them, theirs, and I am the artistic director of the Transquire of Los Angeles. What TDOR means to me is two things: remembrance and resilience. We must always remember all of those who have been killed senselessly, murdered because of bigotry, hatred, transphobia, those who have lost their lives because suicide was enough, those who have felt so marginalized that they thought there was no other hope. But what we have to do, how we honor each one of those people, each one of those names that we are reading today, how we honor them is our resilience as a community. Our resilience to show no matter how many of us you kill, no matter how many of us you knock down, we will stand tall. There would be generation after generation of trans men and women, gender non-conforming, gender non-binary, intersex individuals to rise up in resilience and fight for equal space and claim on this planet. Our resilience makes us strong. Our resilience honors those whose lives were cut short. So for this TDOR, let us remember each and every one of those who have fallen. Let us also honor them with our resilience and our strength in making sure that we are fighting for equal rights for each and every trans person in the United States. That we are using our voices as vessels, that we are using our voting power so that we can pass laws and legislation to make sure we do not have to keep doing a yearly body count for TDOR. We must be resilient and strong, and the stronger and resilient we are, the more we honor those, the more we remember those who have fallen.
Hi, my name is EJ, and to me, Transgender Day of Remembrance is a day to remind the world and ourselves that no matter how much it tries to erase us and hurt us and kill us and remove our names from the history books, that no matter what, we will take care of each other and we will remember each other and we will make sure that our names aren't forgotten and that the lives that we live are treated with the respect and the value that they have, because even one lost life is an immeasurable loss. So we need to remind each other that our lives are worthy and that you don't have to be somebody special. Just by being alive, your life is worth living. And if the world wants to tell us that that's not the case, then we will tell each other and we will remind each other and we'll say, hey, you're not alone, and I remember you, and I know your name, and I will say it. And to talk about what Transgender Day of Remembrance means to me, I thought it would be best to share a song I wrote a couple of years ago. And it's a lullaby about making it through the night and taking care of each other. Sleep, sleep, tomorrow you'll wake. Each breath you take is a victory. Come, rest, lay your weary head. Soon keep it safe until it can see the light of day. And even though these nights may be hard, I know that we'll be okay. Sleep, sleep, for in dreaming you'll see there are better days ahead. Thanks.
On the Transgender Day of Remembrance and Resilience. This is an opportunity for us not only to remember those who have lost their lives due to hate or other reasons, but to think of how we as a community can be strong and resilient and help so that this does not continue to happen. HRC has written a very poignant treatise about today, and I would like to share that with you. 2021 has become the deadliest year ever for transgender and gender non-conforming people, surpassing 2020's toll of 44 deaths. Remember, each of these 46 names represents a whole person and a life torn from us by senseless violence, driven by bigotry and transphobia, and stoked by people who hate and fear transgender people and the richness of our experiences. Dehumanizing rhetoric has real-life consequences for the transgender community, with Black and Latinx transgender women disproportionately facing fatal violence in communities across the United States. Every life has value. At this moment, we must vow to double down on our efforts to dismantle this culture of hate and stigma, fight back against the unprecedented number of bills introduced in state legislatures attacking transgender youth and trans adults, and honor these lives with action by being vocal, by being active in your community, by contacting your representatives and letting them know we are here, we are going to be here for a long, long time, and we are very proud, and we should have the same rights as anyone else. Please, please remember those who have passed on, but also be strong in how you live your life. Thank you.
Roll.
Hey everyone, it's Anthony Daniel here. And what Theodore means to me is trying to constantly make sure that I am visible for other queer people to show their visibility. Another thing that what Theodore means to me is being mindful of the people who are not here, who should have been visible. And I feel that every day in my life as a trans person, I try to bring that to the table through my art, through my understanding of, how things are. And I think that in my life, the best thing that I can do to bring awareness to my community is just always be there for them no matter what.
Thank you so much, Transquire, and thank you for everything that you've done. I now would like to introduce Valerie Spencer.
I'm Reverend Valerie Spencer, and it's so wonderful to be with you all this evening. I am tasked with the pleasure, every minister's honor, of blessing this sacred event, of speaking words about our community, about our people. It brings me no greater pleasure to do so, but it also brings me no greater sadness than to have this be the occasion that we come together to grieve, to mourn, and to hold each other in an energetic space of remembrance. We will always be mindful of the oppressor's hand toward our community. We will be mindful of the toxic narratives that are developed and how they are progressed, leading to our demise and to our harm. And no, we don't find them funny. And no, we don't find them entertaining. Why? Because they lead us to spaces such as this, where we have to hold each other and where we have to grieve with each other. And so I speak a withering of any narrative that would have us beneath our greatness. I speak safety to my people and know that we are well. I know that any challenge that comes before us, we are gifted with unique magic to meet and surpass any challenge. I know that my people are a powerful people who can do anything, anything, anything. I also know that there are those in high places and low who know our power, who are intimidated by our greatness, and who are uncomfortable by our provocateur and our unique ways of being. There are those who are so intimidated by us, and yet they are moved to be with us in certain ways. I speak freedom to those people, freedom no matter where you are and who you are. And to those that would harm us, to those who would even kill us, you will be punished. If not by law, know this. In the African tradition, it is a known fact that those who move beyond the veil of physical experience become eternal ancestors. We have ancestors on the other side of the veil that are moving toward justice on our behalf. I speak now that those ancestors hold us in this moment, that they protect us and keep us safe, that as we grieve and hold each other in this way, that we also appreciate those who are alive and remain. And to those of us who are still in the body living, I challenge you to do that fully, to do that completely, and to show the world your greatness. No matter the challenge, though it may be, you've got what it takes. I name all trans, binary, queer people. I see your greatness, and I invite you to move from a God that is universal to a God that is personal. And the burdens of my trans heart rolled away. I invite you to access your spiritual power, not just for everyone, but know that God, the creator of all life itself, loves you, just as you are. No matter how you manipulate and play with this physical form, you are loved. You are loved. You are loved. I speak healing to my people. Every organ, action, and function, every mind, every ethereal body, energetic body about my people. I speak wellness, wholeness, and completion and internal guidance by our ancestors and those who love us high and hold us close. And all of us who agree simply say, Ashe, and so it is. Be well, family, and be blessed. Good evening.
Thank you, Valerie. And now we get ready for the reading of the names.
Samuel Edmund Damon Valentin was found dead by a motorist on the 9th of January in Trujillo Alto, Puerto Rico. He had multiple gunshot wounds, according to reports. And to make matters worse, Samuel was denied dignity and death by police, who incorrectly reported his gender. There have been no arrests over the killing, and police have not announced any suspects in the case. He is remembered by speaking out against violence in Puerto Rico, expressing his hope for a Puerto Rico without killings.
Tiana Alexander, a 28-year-old Black trans woman who was shot and killed in Chicago. According to Chicago police, Tiana was one of 2 people shot in the incident, and that the gun was fired from a silver car. She died at the scene with a gunshot wound to the head. Tiana was initially misgendered in police and media reports. On social media, friends write that they love and miss Tiana, and that she was the life of the party.
Dominique Jackson, a Black transgender woman who was shot to death in her car in Jackson's, Mississippi on January 25. She was found by her aunt after being missing for 3 days. Dominique was looking forward to growing into her full potential, opening her own hair and makeup salon, and being a part of a loving family. She was a mother, a sister, a leader, and a necessity to our community. The last years of her life were filled with love, support, and acceptance as she grew into the woman she wanted to be, said Dominique's chosen mother. Jackson's police officials arrested and charged a suspect with murder in connection with her death.
50 Bands was a 21-year-old Black transgender woman who was fatally shot by her partner on January 28th in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She was found dead inside of a vehicle at 11 p.m., suffering from several gunshot wounds that her partner admitted to firing during a heated exchange. He was not open or forthcoming about dating 50. Witnesses said he had threatened to kill her in the past. He is currently being charged with second-degree murder.
Bianca Muffin Banks was a Black transgender woman of 30 years old. She was fatally shot in her apartment in Atlanta on January 17. Police believe her killer was a man who then took his own life afterward. Their bodies were discovered by her roommate. She had just moved into the apartment a few weeks before she had died. Bianca acquired her nickname due to her love of blueberry muffins. They say that she hoped to one day compete on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Alexis Braxton, a 45-year-old Black transgender woman, was found February 4th by police, her mother and sister inside her condominium in Miami. According to Alexis's Facebook, she was a hairstylist. Not much is currently known about the circumstances surrounding Alexis's death. Police confirmed that they are investigating her death as a homicide. The family has been left with no closure.
China Carrillo, also known as China Candina, a Latinx 24-year-old transgender woman, was killed in New Wilmington, Pennsylvania on February 18th, just weeks before her birthday. The Pennsylvania State Police officer responded that morning and found the suspect assaulting China in the backyard of a home. The suspect ignored the police commands to stop and they proceeded to shoot. The suspect died at the scene and China was taken to the hospital where she passed away. Those who knew China said she was confident, outspoken, unapologetic about who she was.
Jeffrey J.J. Bright, a 16-year-old transgender young man, was a student at Ambridge High School in Ambridge, Pennsylvania. Jeffrey was an active member of PRISM, Pride, Respect, Inspiration, Safety, and Mentoring, a local nonprofit organization for LGBT youth. Tragically, on January 21st, both Jeffrey and his sibling Jasmine were shot and killed in their home by their mother, who was later arrested and charged with 2 counts of homicide.
Jasmine Candy. Jasmine, the sibling of J.J. Bright, was 22 years old. Identified as non-binary, Jasmine occasionally attended prison with Jeffrey and participated in the summer program in the past. Both Jasmine and Jeffrey were misgendered in initial media and police reports. The mother told detectives that she shot Jasmine in the bed before going downstairs and taking aim at Jeffrey.
Jenna Franks, a 34-year-old white transgender woman, was found dead in North Carolina with multiple stab wounds in her neck and leg. Police are investigating her death as a homicide, and the investigation is ongoing. Jenna's body was found by a city work crew clearing an area near a bike trail in Jacksonville, North Carolina on February 24th. Some local media have dead-named Jenna and have continued to do so even after LGBTQ+ activists spoke out. Jenna, who was homeless, was loved by many people in Jacksonville.
Diamond Kyrie Sanders, a 23-year-old Black transgender woman, was shot to death during a robbery in Cincinnati on March 3rd. Sanders was found at about 4 a.m. that day in the parking lot of an apartment building. She was taken to a nearby hospital where she died shortly thereafter. The investigation is continuing. Diamond's family and friends remembered her fondly, saying Diamond was a ball of energy as a child and even up to her time of death, and that her unique style, charm, and personality will be greatly missed.
Rhianna Pardo, a 26-year-old Latina transgender woman who was killed in Los Angeles, California on March 17th. Security camera footage shows her being followed by a group of people as she walked down a street, where she was then hit by a car and killed while trying to flee from harassment. The motorist has been charged with driving under the influence. However, her death has yet to be classified as a homicide. Rhianna, who was a client at the Los Angeles Trans-Latina Coalition, was misgendered and misnamed in some media and police reports. Her family says that Rhianna often faced harassment simply for living her truth as a transgender woman.
Jada Peterson, a Black transgender woman, was found dead in a West Charlotte hotel room on April 4th, Easter Sunday. Police officials say she was shot, and detectives are investigating who killed Jada and why. She was 29 years old. A childhood friend remembers Jada as someone who always had a smile on her face, someone who was always cracking jokes. Friends of Peterson said it was painful to get the news of her death and see both the police department and news outlets use the wrong name and gender for Jada. The suspect has been charged on multiple accounts, including murder, and the investigation is ongoing.
Dominique Luscious, a 26-year-old Black transgender woman, was shot and killed on April 8th in Springfield, Missouri. Family members described her as a strong, courageous person who overcame all sorts of barriers. The man accused of shooting Dominique is behind bars without bond. According to court documents, it appears he and Dominique met on an online dating website and planned to meet up in person.
Remy Fennel, a 28-year-old Black transgender woman, was shot to death on April 15th in Charlotte, North Carolina. Friends and family described Remy as bold and lovable. She was a well-known hairstylist known as Remy Creations. It was shared how hard she worked to make her dreams come true, including creating her own hair care products and having her own salon. Records state her murder was in connection with that of Jada Peterson, and 2 suspects have been charged on multiple counts, and the investigation is still ongoing.
Tiara Banks was a 24-year-old Black transgender woman who was killed in Chicago, Illinois on April 21st, 2021. Tiara was sitting alone in her Ford Fusion when the shooter approached the vehicle and shot her multiple times. Tiara was pronounced dead at the scene. Chicago police are investigating whether Banks' gender identity was a factor in her death, and they're still in search of the suspect.
Natalia Smoot, a 24-year-old transgender woman and beloved drag entertainer, was stabbed to death in Milpitas, California on April 23, 2021. Smoot was a popular drag artist who performed frequently in San Jose and throughout the Bay Area. A friend said she would step into the room like a firework. Everywhere she went, she brought energy, fierce looks, and a personality that shined bright like a diamond. A man who was in a relationship with her has been charged with her murder.
Iris Santos was a 22-year-old Latina transgender woman killed in Houston, Texas on April 23, 2021. Iris was sitting at a picnic table outside of a restaurant when an unknown suspect approached and opened fire. She died as a result of the shotgun wounds she sustained. Unfortunately, not much is known of Iris's personal life. Her mother, Maria, spoke to reporters saying she found out about her daughter's death from neighbors 2 days after the incident. She said while she continues to grieve her daughter's death, she's also hurt by the pain and violence her daughter experienced while she was alive. Her family is requesting the community's help in identifying the person responsible for her death. Tiffany Thomas, a 38-year-old Black transgender woman, was shot to death on April 24th at a car wash in Dallas, Texas. Tiffany is being remembered by friends and family as someone who loved family and who had a big heart. After being misnamed and misgendered in the media, several LGBTQ community media outlets have worked to ensure Tiffany's name and gender identity are accurately represented. Not much was known about her personal life. Dallas police are investigating Tiffany's death as a homicide.
Kerry Washington, a 49-year-old Black transgender woman, was found in Clearwater, Florida on May 1st, 2021. Many media outlets unfortunately misgendered her and used a different spelling of her first name. Police have identified a suspect and issued a warrant for his arrest on a charge of first-degree murder and stating he has an extensive criminal history and was known to the victim. Little information has surfaced about Washington's life, but friends have paid tribute to her on social media. Several have said she went by the nickname Bobo.
Thomas Harden, a 35-year-old Black transgender woman, was killed on May 2nd in York, South Carolina. Friends have shared that Harden, identified as a woman, continued to use the name Thomas and use both he and she pronouns. They remember Thomas as someone who always kept you laughing. Friends and neighbors of Thomas have shared that they believe she was shot and killed and that she knew both suspects. According to local news, 2 suspects were taken into custody, one of whom Thomas had been romantically involved with, and they lived together. But their relationship came to a tumultuous end.
Jahara DeAlto, a 42-year-old transgender woman of color, was killed May 2nd in Boston, Massachusetts as the result of a stabbing. Jahara was a well-known and beloved transgender advocate for survivors of domestic and sexual violence, and member of the Ballroom Committee in the Boston area. Jahara was letting a husband and wife, along with their 2 young children, stay at her home. The husband not only murdered Jahara, but his wife as well, with both children present. He is facing 2 counts of murder for the women.
Whispering Wind Bear Spirit was a 41-year-old Indigenous non-binary person in York, Pennsylvania, who was shot in the evening on May 3rd and died early on May 4th. The suspect was found and has been charged on multiple counts along with his younger brother. There are 4 other suspects who are awaiting charges. Spirit was visiting a friend when the 2 brothers and friends barged into the home, accusing the homeowner of stealing marijuana. Spirit tried to warn the homeowner they had a gun, and while Spirit's friend wrestled them to get out of the home, Spirit was shot in the abdomen. She passed during surgery.
Sophie Vasquez,
Sophie Vasquez, a 36-year-old Latina transgender woman, was shot and killed in Brookhaven, Georgia, on May 4th in the doorway of her apartment. According to Nuevo Georgia, Sophie was a part of ESTR, El La Community, or Community Estrella, a community that works to support transgender people in the Atlanta area. One friend shared that Sophie was the kindest person on the planet. Detectives took an arrest warrant charging 18-year-old local residents with her death. Investigation is ongoing as to a motive for her death.
Danica Danny Hansen, also known as Prince Daniel, and Inia Da Don on Facebook, a 31-year-old Black transgender woman who was shot and killed in Baltimore, Maryland on May 4th. One family member shared that Danica always had a big heart. There was love behind everything. Danny's brothers believes that she got into an altercation with someone they knew and possibly had a relationship with.
Serenity Hollis, a 24-year-old Black transgender woman, was shot and killed in Albany, Georgia on May 8, 2021. The Albany Police Department released a low-quality video of the shooting in which an individual approaches Serenity from behind and shoots her at the back of her head. Her family believes that Hollis, who was called the embodiment of love by her friends, was killed by someone she knew and possibly had a relationship with. Her killer has yet to be identified.
Poe Black, a 21-year-old transgender man who was killed in Nyland, California, was stabbed to death, including stab wounds to his genitalia. His body was found on May 11 in a nearby canal. Poe identified as mixed indigenous and may also have been two-spirit and non-binary. He often posted online about disability rights and Black Lives Matter. He was also an artist with several online stores where he displayed and sold his art. There have been no arrests or suspects identified that we know of. There has also been no media coverage at all by Southern California media.
Oliver Ollie Taylor, a 17-year-old white trans boy who died on May 19th after being kidnapped and shot on May 12th in Gervais, Oregon. On May 12th, the suspect, who was an acquaintance of Ollie, shot another individual and then kidnapped Oliver before fleeing the scene in a vehicle. During the pursuit, the suspect and the police exchanged gunfire before the car stopped, and Oliver, who had been shot by the suspect, was taken to a local hospital. He passed away 1 week later. A grand jury has indicted the suspect for Oliver's murder and additional charges. Oliver is remembered by friends and family, with one friend stating, "When he came into your life, he was there to make a difference."
Tiara Marie Lewis, a 36-year-old Black transgender woman, was killed in Cleveland, Ohio on June 12th. Due to misgendering and misnaming from local officials and a lack of media coverage, her death was not reported until August. She had just moved to Cleveland to build a new life there. She was in search of safe housing and was a visitor of the Cleveland Trans Wellness Center. She is remembered fondly by members of the local LGBTQ+ community and described Lewis as a sweet girl who commanded attention. According to reports, Cleveland police homicide detectives have arrested a suspect in Tiara Marie's death, who has been indicted by a grand jury.
E.J. Boykin, also known as Nova Watson, was a 23-year-old Black transgender man who was killed in Lynchburg, Virginia on June 14th. E.J. was a parent of a young child who may have been present at the scene of the shooting but was uninjured. E.J. was found shot in front of a retail store and was taken to a local hospital where he later died. According to a friend of E.J.'s, he was loved and liked by everyone and was just one of those people who had good vibes and good energy. Officials do not believe the shooting was a hate crime and think it may have been related to a domestic dispute. They do not have a suspect in custody.
Taya Ashton, a 20-year-old Black transgender woman, was killed in her apartment in Suitland, Prince George's County in Maryland on July 17th. Her life was taken by a man who admitted to being involved with Taya for a few months prior. He was arrested after committing a robbery, and the police linked the weapon to Taya's death. Taya's aunt remembers her as being a bright presence in a room, and her grandfather spoke of her beautiful soul. Her family is questioning the conclusion made by the authorities that her murder was not considered a hate crime.
Shay Vandergarmen was a 23-year-old Black transgender woman who was killed July 30th in Trenton, New Jersey, due to gunshot wounds to the face. The suspect was arrested later following a motor vehicle stop. He was charged on multiple counts. However, committing a hate crime was not one of them. Shay was a fierce LGBTQ advocate, and the GoFundMe remembers Shay as being known for her style and love of family. As someone who had a heart of gold and who loved to dress, smile, and see everyone happy and smiling.
Coco Chanel Wortham, also known as Miss Coco, a 44-year-old transgender woman of color, was fatally shot in Dallas, Texas on August 7th. Miss Coco was frequently in encampment areas of downtown Dallas with others who experienced homelessness. She is described as a well-known small girl with a big, bubbly personality. The Dallas Police Homicide Unit is investigating her death as a hate crime, unless evidence to the contrary emerges.
Poo Johnson, a 25-year-old Black transgender woman who was fatally shot in Shreveport, Louisiana on August 23, 2021. She was found after police were called to check out a car in the neighborhood. According to the news, she was discovered with multiple gunshot wounds. Johnson was an accomplished makeup artist under the name Titanizer. Sadly, not much beyond this is publicly known about her at this time.
Zoella Zoe Rose Martinez, a 20-year-old Latina transgender woman who was fatally shot in Maple Valley, Washington on August 31st, 2021. Zoe loved hanging out with friends and spending time with her dogs. Zoe mastered makeup that accentuated her loving and caring personality. Zoe was the caretaker of her mother after her mother survived COVID but was in recovery. Zoe loved helping around the family farm. Zoe had a beautiful spirit. She always had a smile and had only kind words to say about others.
Brianna Hamilton, a 25-year-old transgender woman found by the police on September the 17th in the neighborhood of Chicago's South Side after sustaining a ultimately fatal gunshot wound to the head. Brianna was misgendered and dead named by the news outlet, reporting on her murder, which delayed community awareness and possibly the proper investigation. Brianna's mother said that she was an amazing person who was loved by many and touched so many people's hearts with her presence.
Desaya Monet. Desaya Monet, a 32-year-old Black transgender woman, was fatally shot in Chicago, Illinois on September 6th. Monet was reportedly found shot twice and was pronounced dead at Holy Cross Hospital later that morning. Detectives are reportedly investigating, although a suspect has yet to be identified. Her mother added, Desaya transitioned after leaving high school. She was happy, outgoing, and well-loved.
Here, Lapree Cartier, a 21-year-old transgender woman who was discovered by police in her car parked outside her apartment on September 30 in Arlington, Texas. She was found with multiple gunshot wounds. Police reportedly have yet to determine a motive or identify possible suspects. Kiera Lapree was originally misgendered and dead named by authorities until police reached out to her family and community members. Her best friend told local news that everybody just loved who she was, including her family.
Royale Puerto Star, a 26-year-old Black transgender woman, was fatally shot inside her car in Miami Garden, Florida, on October 2nd, 2021. Her friends told the publication she was shot 20 times, including in the face. One of her best friends and family law attorneys was outraged at the dead naming and misgendering. I changed her name. Legally, he said, I changed her name because she's trans to Royale Political Star. Friends described her as the life of the party and loved the way she dressed.
Mel Groves, a 25-year-old Black transgender man who was fatally shot in Jackson, Mississippi on October 11, 2021. Groves drove himself to a local hospital while suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He collapsed while getting out of his vehicle and was transported to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, where he passed away. He was a farmer for the Nice and Orchid Society garden program and a plant soil scientist who loved agriculture and animals. The Jackson Police Department is currently searching for a motive, suspects, and the location where Mel was shot.
Jessie Hart, a white 42-year-old transgender woman, was killed in Banks, Oregon. Her body was found on October 17, 2021. Prior to her death, Hart and her teenage son, Caleb, had been struggling with housing insecurity, staying in hotel rooms through subsidized and nonprofit assistance. Later, they were both staying in her Black Sob. Unfortunately, not much is known about Hart's personal life.
Joe Aker is a white 26-year-old transgender woman killed in Boise, Idaho, on October 26, 2021. Joe was one of the victims of a tragic shooting at the Boise Town Square Mall, which also resulted in 5 people injured. She was working security at the mall at the time of the shooting, and according to her friend and family, she ran towards the suspect to stop him, likely saving the lives of many others.
Ricky Otomoro, a 39-year-old Latina transgender woman, was a popular and well-beloved member of the Washington LGBTQ community. Otomoro, also known as True Starlet, was fatally shot in Centralia, Washington on the night of October 30th or on the morning of October 31st. A suspect in Otomoro's death has been charged with first-degree murder, domestic violence, and has been held without bail.
Marquesha Lawrence, a 28-year-old Black transgender woman who was well loved by her family and friends. Lawrence was fatally shot in Greenville, South Carolina on November 4th, 2021. She was a young trans woman at the beginning of this game called life, as we know it in the trans community. She was very humbled, a free thinker who was loved by many. She will forever be remembered by her infectious smile and her heart of gold.
And now, I would like to introduce a video of the Transquire. Thank you.
Living authentically is not always easy, but it is living victoriously.
I may not walk a mile in your shoes,
story. There's no giving up. If you're brave enough to love, I may not walk a mile in your shoes. But if we go that distance together, we can prove when you look in your heart and find love, you are victorious. We need love to be who we are. 'Cause love is victorious. Every voice is a voice. And love is victorious. We all have a choice to love. We are victorious. When you look in your heart and find love, you are victorious. We need love to be who we are. 'Cause love is victorious. Every voice is a voice. And love is victorious. We all have a choice to love. We are victorious.
Thank you again, Transgender Choir of Los Angeles. Now, I'd like to introduce a friend, a big brother. He's so many things to me. Lucky Alexander, the founder of Invisible Men, is a trans man who is an advocate for the transgender community. Lucky, change is everything. He reaches out. He wants. He's an advocate that exact change that builds bridges within the LGBT community and create resources and supports around trans masculine services, trans folks, trans parents. He is a member of the Los Angeles Transgender Advisory Council, the designer of the All Black Lives Matter installation on Hollywood Boulevard, with no greater D, a beautiful, gorgeous young man, Mr. Lucky Alexander Fuller.
Hello there, and thank you for that introduction, Sibel. I thoroughly appreciate it. My name is Lucky Alexander, and I'm also the chair of the Trans Advisory Board of West Hollywood, and I'm honored to be here today to be with you. That was an incredible tribute to all of the lost souls that we've lost to transphobia, to violence, to hate, and I appreciate everyone that has been here to join us today. And I would also like to say, trans folks, to all of our trans folks that are watching, you're magic. You are valid. You are worthy of so much love and so much life. And to all of our folks that we've lost, we honor you. We say your names. And I also want to uplift Rita Hester. Rita Hester is the reason that Trans Day of Remembrance was started back in 1999. Rita Hester was murdered 2 days before her 35th birthday on November 28th, 1998. So before we end this night, I want to definitely appreciate everyone who has joined us, and also thank all of those who have made this possible. So first and foremost, we want to thank the Trans Advisory Board of West Hollywood. We also want to thank the City of West Hollywood and the West Hollywood City Council, Mayor Lauren Meister, Mayor Pro Tem Seppi Shine, Councilmember John D'Amico, Councilmember John Erickson, Councilmember Lindsay Horvath, for their support. the Transquire of LA, Abdullah Abby Rashid Hall, EJ, Karen Daniels, and Anthony Daniel. I'm sorry, Catherine Davis and Anthony Daniels. We also like to thank all of the readers of the names for all of those that we've lost. I also want to make sure that we thank city staff and the production team, Larissa Fuchs, Tatiana Rosette, Dee Saunders, Hernan Molina, Mariana Kirstamon, Nolan Scott, and a very special thank you to Sibel for her contributions and her leadership in this community. And a special shout out to board member Shane Ivan Nash, who has tirelessly worked to make sure that this was a beautiful tribute to our fallen angels. So I'm going to throw this back to Sibel.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone and all of you tonight who made it here possible. I want to especially thank the City of West Hollywood and the City Council for the support of the TDOR and the transgender community. To the members of the City Transgender Advisory Board, to the city staff for putting this event together along with the entire team and collaborations. And to performers for their sensitivity and their graciousness in sharing their talents with us. If you could please just listen and just hold on just one moment. We have a really good surprise coming up. I'd like to introduce our next video coming up, the Matthew Shepard Triangle. And thank you so much. I love you all and have a great night. So tonight, we'd like to welcome you for coming and viewing Trans Day of Remembrance 2021 through the City of West Hollywood and the Transgender Advisory Board community members. I'm Sibel Samaloreka, your mistress of ceremony, and this is Mother Karina. And the beautiful Blossom. Most handsome fellow up here this evening, Lucky Alexander. I hope you enjoyed the viewing tonight, and we're gonna sit and chill and watch it with you guys, okay? Yeah.
Everyone say good night, West Hollywood.
Good night, West Hollywood.
Night.